Oh, and welcome to the Market Dominators Real Estate Team podcast here. I am your host, Mr. John Spaschek, the Market Dominator himself, and associate real estate broker. And I am here with my Market Dominator partner, the number one buyer's agent specialist in Western New York, award-winning agent, Mr. Scott Catillus. Welcome, my good man.
Hi, everybody. Hey, if you are tuning in for the first time, we want to welcome you to the channel. If you have tuned in before and you are just revisiting us for another awesome episode of our podcast here, I want to thank you. I want to encourage you, go ahead, subscribe to our channel, Market Dominators Team. Our YouTube channel, link will be in the description. Really want to encourage you, like and subscribe, share it with your friends. We exist purely to educate, and that's really what our channel is all about, right, John?
Wait a minute. What do? We educate, we advocate, we negotiate, and we dominate. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
And so we are bringing to you weekly podcasts so that we could help educate you as a consumer and to help you navigate this incredibly, really tough, competitive market. It's kind of insane out there. And this is happening all over the country, not just in our local market. Because normally we like to think of markets as, real estate, local, location. And, but this trend is going from sea to shining sea.
Yeah.
So as we pick up our heads out of the buffalo sand and we, look at other markets in the country, they're experiencing really the same things. So really what we want to cover in today's show is really critically important for you as you begin to prepare navigating for this market. Okay. It's very, very critically important. So there's two sides in real estate, right? There's the selling side and then there's the buying side.
Yep.
So on the buying side, or should I say on the seller side, we're not going to cover that today. We're going to cover that probably next week or maybe the week after, sometime soon. But right now, this week, we want to cover the buying side. And if you're a buyer, how do you prepare to enter into this insane market where there are multiple offers going on? The talk of homes going for tens of thousands of dollars over list price. And we want to put a little bit of a put a little bit of a myth to that to bed. It's partially a myth. Homes are going for over list price, as you know, but there's a reason for that. And one of them really is tied to that. What is the list price? So we'll talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
But the main thing that that we want to cover today is the top 3 things that a buyer can do to prepare to enter into this market.
Yeah.
So my good man, as a buyer specialist and really leading the field out there with these, what would you say are the top 3 things that a buyer should do when they're getting ready to enter the market?
Well, I could probably give you 20, John, if we wanted to get real specific, but if we wanted to kind of narrow it down, but in the same respect, keep it general, I think really, and it kind of sounds cliche because we are real estate agents, but it's super important is to find a good agent. Okay.
So is that number one?
That's number one. So if we were
find
to
a good
start,
agent.
Yeah. If we were to start at the tip of the pyramid and then kind of go down, the number one thing is you're going to want to find a good agent. Now that might kind of seem a little silly to some people. They're going, yeah, I could find a million real estate agents, but you can attest to this from over the years, before I joined the team and you would work with buyers and now me working with buyers, people looking to buy homes. You've had the conversation. I've had the conversation where we're meeting with somebody and they told me in one sense or another, not taking a dig at anybody, but I was working with this other agent. He showed me, they showed me some houses and I wasn't feeling it. They weren't listening to us. They were showing us stuff that we didn't want.
They would open the door and let us go in and look.
Yeah.
They didn't come into the basement with us to go over any facts on the house. They didn't break the house down into the 6 majors.
Yeah.
They didn't educate us.
Yeah.
right?
I can't tell you, and again, it's not to take a dig at anybody in our profession, but I've met the buyers and they're like, it just didn't work. And we just kind of stopped and it fizzled out and we never ended up buying anything. I mean, I've got people closing now.
All right. Let me say this about, I appreciate you not wanting to throw anybody under the bus. Okay. Especially our colleagues that we, co-broker many real estate transactions with, but let's cut to the chase here. Okay. And that is anywhere in the country, anywhere in the United States, in order to get a real estate license to be able to do real estate and sell homes or help a buyer buy a home, it is very inexpensive. If you go to college, okay, you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars over the course of years and likely be paying for that over another decade or so.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If you want to get your real estate license and start making good money right away, you could spend as little as $2,000, get your license, join a board, join an MLS, and be ready to go.
Yep.
So it's very easy to get into. Now, why do I bring that up? Because we have a lot of people in this business that get into it because it's inexpensive to get into and it's a good return if you do well.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, right?
Yep.
Well, that means that our market is flooded. Okay. So in our particular association, we have 3,800 plus agents in the market of which we transact real estate.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in my opinion,
a lot of people.
Okay. As the market dominator originaire, I will say this confidently. There's only about 200 to 250 agents that are really good, solid, that they work full time, they're full service, they stay on top of their craft, and they stay current to what is happening in the market. Now, that's a very low percentage for the total number of agents out there. So when you look at all of the buyers, the chances are that a buyer is going to end up with an agent that doesn't really give them the full fiduciary representation that they're supposed to give.
Yeah.
And so it is not uncommon for either of us, but now you particularly as the buyer specialist, to end up start working with a buyer who has had a poor experience with a prior agent.
Yes.
And that is the fact.
Absolutely.
It's not throwing anybody under the bus.
Absolutely.
It also drives home your point. So the number one thing to do to prepare in buying a home is find the right agent.
Yep.
Because if you don't, you're going to spin your wheels and waste your time for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Yeah.
And while rates are going up, you're losing tens of thousands of dollars. We're going to talk about that in our next episode.
Yeah.
So it is critically important. And this is why it's number one.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into like really finding a good agent, right? I mean, you want to sit down, you want to meet with that person face to face. You want to be asking them, okay, what is your approach? Tell me about your success that you've had in the past year, 18 months, 24 months, navigating this market that we're in, right? It's easy for anybody to sell a house when it's a buyer's market like it was 10 years ago or whatever. But, now you've got to really ask somebody, what are you doing in order to win? I had somebody that called me and she said, well, how many clients do you have? And I told her, and she said, well, how are you able to manage all of them? She was like interviewing me. I said,
that's fantastic.
I said, great. Yeah. I was literally like, I stopped her. I said, I just want to let you know, nobody asks this, so I applaud you for that. But let me tell you how I do. And then I went in and answered her question, and we've been working together, and it's been great. So, it's important that you find an agent that's able to respond swiftly, able to understand exactly what you're looking for, not be showing you stuff that's a complete waste of everybody's time, right? Gas is expensive. You don't want to go driving all over the place, spending your evenings looking at houses that are totally outside the ballpark. And you got to find somebody that really understands where you're at and where you're trying to go.
So in this market, how many times does it take a buyer, would you say, on average, to win a deal? How many offers do they end up having to put in on houses before they actually win one?
With me?
Yeah.
4.
So that means
5.
a buyer with the number one buyer's agent in Western New York has to put offers in on 4 different, they have to go through this 4 times to win a house. Folks, are you listening? 4 times.
Yeah.
So if they're not working with a great agent, that could be 10, 15, 20. We were in a sales meeting this last week. There was an agent that they put offers in on 23 homes.
Yeah.
Before they won an offer.
That's a lot.
Now, if you're buying a house and you go through the rigmarole looking at houses, you find one you like, you do the work to put in, okay, what's the offer going to be? You start dreaming, you start measuring furniture, you start doing this and that. Do you want to go through that 23 times? I mean, come on.
No, that is stressful. It's emotionally draining. It's saddening.
And how much time do you think it would take to go through that many offers?
Oh, months. I mean, literally months.
And we're going to cover this on an episode pretty soon, but if you go back just 3 months, the interest rates were, like 3.7 something, and now they're at 5.8 something.
Yeah. So all the while you're losing buying power, and
that's
shooting yourself in the foot, really.
That's like a 60 to 70% increase in the rate.
Yeah. It's huge.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That cost you an incredible amount of money. Whereas if you would have had the right agent, you could have not gone through all of that and gotten the home much sooner at a lower interest rate.
Yep. And you're sitting pretty, and you're good, and you're out of the chaos.
All right.
But just to end that point, when you find that right agent and you click and you're working well together, and it's a very good relationship because it is a working relationship. I will just say for the buyers out there, take your agent's advice. Okay. They're pros. If you're working with a pro, they're pros. They do this full time. They know what needs to happen. I can't tell you the amount of people that say, well, okay, we'll start here. We put in this offer, and I say, you should go here. You should do this. I'm trying to help them win the house.
Yep.
And I get it. And inherently it's the first time they're like, no, here, we don't win. Then we do it again and again. And finally, by like the third or fourth, they're really, really taking my advice because they've lost a couple times and they get it. And this isn't just with me. This is with everybody.
Of that is
and the cost of that's huge. But finally they realize, okay, Scott's the pro. This is what he says. We did it and it worked, right? So if your agent's giving you advice, they're not just trying to get you into a house, slam you in it, be done in 2 months, and say, see you later. They're trying to really inherently, if they're good, they're trying to save you money, time, energy, and literally heartbreak. So if you've got a good agent and you trust them, trust their advice. If they're saying offer this or do this, again, within reason, take their advice.
Yeah.
At least talk with them.
What we like to do, and you've heard me many times on appointments, I'll jokingly, it's a little bit of a joke, but there's some truth in it. And that is, look, I'm going to give you my advice. You deserve my advice.
Yep.
And if you don't take it, that's okay. It's America. You're free to be wrong.
You're free to be wrong.
You're free to be wrong. It's going to cost you.
You're right.
But you're free to be wrong. And that doesn't mean that we are right every single time. I don't mean to come across in
absolutely.
A real pompous way here, but
absolutely.
But we work really, really hard at this and the educating. And so we believe in this and we win. We're getting FHA mortgages with full concessions approved in this market. I don't know other people that are doing that. Okay. I just don't. So the number one thing to do when you're preparing to buy a home in this market is find the right agent.
Find
Scott,
a good agent.
What's number two?
Okay. So number two goes along with number one. You find your good agent. You then need to find a good lender. Okay. If you're blessed enough that you're paying cash and you don't have to worry about taking out a mortgage, awesome. You're in a really good spot. But 99% of America needs to borrow the money to buy a home.
How do you find the right lender?
So you got to find the right lender very much in the same way that you find your right agent. Okay. Do some research, but even set that aside. If you're working with your agent and you trust them, you trust their opinion, they're more than likely going to tell you, hey, this is who I've worked with in the past. Might be a couple lenders, might just be one in specific. It depends, right? They're going to tell you, I know this lender. I know how they operate. I do a lot of business with them. They take my calls at 8:00 at night. I know how to keep them on track. Our job, right, is not just to open the door, let the people in, they fall in love, we write the contract, see you in 60 days when you close. Our job is also to guide
Well,
the
if that's
ship.
the case, they won't close in 60 days.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It'll be 75, 80, 90.
Yeah.
So we've got to also steer the ship a little bit. Okay. And when we're steering the ship, that involves a lot of parties.
We don't
including the bank.
steer, right?
We don't steer yet.
We navigate.
Yes. No, steering is bad. No.
Yes. We navigate.
You know,
the ship.
we're guiding. We're making sure that everything stays on time and on track. Okay. And so the last thing that I want to deal with, and I'll just say it like it is, right? I don't want to deal with some 9-to-5 bank that I don't know the lender. I don't know the processor. I can't get a hold of anybody when I have questions and it takes me 3 days to get an answer.
Now, if you don't want that,
yeah.
Do you think the buyer wants that?
Way less than I do.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Now, what about the seller?
Seller doesn't want that either.
No.
And guys,
folks,
I got to tell you, if you're looking to buy a house, okay, and you think that the bank that you get your mortgage from does not matter, you are completely 100% wrong. The bank, it's huge. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been able to go to bat for my buyers in like this multiple offer situation. And I say, this lender, I've done 100 deals with. I know them. I'm talking with them. I'm staying in touch with them. I've got the processor's cell phone number. Boom, boom, boom. And they go, okay, you'll get it done. I'm taking your offer versus Bob over at blah, blah bank, who I don't know. And
yeah, I don't use blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's huge. It's huge. And a good listing agent is going to know the good banks in your area, who's really good at mortgages, who's on the ball, who closes fast. I mean, we have a deal closing this week that was literally 30 days from start to finish. Like, that doesn't really happen in New York. But you know what? The listing agent is asking for that bank's contact info. I've never had a deal close this fast. I need to know who you're using. Here you go. Right. So that's huge. That matters because anybody can throw a number on paper, but can you get it closed?
Okay. So we're looking for creativity. When you come to the market, you have to get prepared and you have to be creative. So it is critically important that you find the right agent. Number one. Number two, you find the right lender because you want your offer to have influence with the seller and the listing agent on that house. So using the right lender is critically important. It's a huge component of the offer.
Yeah.
Okay. What about number three?
So number three is that you need to understand and measure your wants versus your needs. Okay.
And now explain that.
So this is huge in this market, right? Because when I meet with my buyers, right? We sit down, we have our consultation, we're talking for the first time, meeting face-to-face over a cup of coffee, right? We're talking about, okay, guys, what's a need in the house? What can you not live without? It's a non-negotiable. And then what's a want? And a want is, it'd be great, but if it didn't have it, I'm okay, right? And sometimes, especially, you know, you've never bought a home before, you don't even really think through that until someone presents you with that question.
So that's something that you're doing with our buyers that helps them decipher things that can be confusing and help distract them from winning a house.
Yeah.
So, hey, this didn't really have the deck that I wanted on the house, so we're not going to go forward with that one. And then it takes them 2 months to find the house that they want. But meanwhile, the interest rates went up a full point, and that deck just cost them $39,000.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
So it's critically important that you help them navigate understanding the difference between their wants and their needs. Now, how do you learn the difference? How do you learn what they are?
So you got to figure out where they're at, what they currently have, and then where they want to be.
You have to listen to them.
You got to listen.
You have to ask the right questions.
Right.
You have to observe their responses. You have to get into conversation with them. You have to get into relationship with them. You have to care for them.
Yes.
You have to educate for them. You have to advocate for them. And then you'll have to negotiate for them. And then you'll be able to dominate for them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So folks, the top 3 things that a buyer should be doing to get prepared to navigate in this market, no matter where you are in the country. Number 1, find the right agent. Number 2, find the right lender, one that has influence in the market you're buying in. And number 3, help your clients understand the differences between their needs and their wants so that they can save money and get into home ownership.
Right.
Fantastic.
Right. And you know what? If you're watching us right now and you're not in the Buffalo area and you still want help, you still want advice, we can help you buy a home anywhere throughout the country. I mean, just this week alone, we've referred 2 people to 2 different agents in other states that they're going to be selling their homes here and moving to different areas. We've done the research. I've looked up the stats. I found out, okay, you own a property that's like this and this. We find the agent
for you.
Yeah.
So the number one thing, we take care of that for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, who would you rather pick your own agent, or would you rather have us picking an agent for you?
Right.
Okay.
We're picky.
So we're picky.
We're picky.
And we also have a ton of successful proven experience at this. So for free, we just do that for you.
Yeah.
We'll find an agent for you anywhere, and we'll hold them accountable to making sure you're fully represented in the market that you're going to purchase in.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Folks, you can get more and more information like this, where we educate, we advocate, we negotiate, and we dominate. And at our YouTube channel, it's Market Dominators Team on YouTube. Please go there, like and subscribe.
Please.
We are getting ready to start a campaign to grow our subscribership. We've been working on building up the channel. It's relatively new. I think this is our 9th episode of podcast, but we're going to continue on a weekly basis. We apologize we were not here last week or last couple of weeks, where we have something good news to announce, that we're working on building a new studio.
Yeah.
So in time, shortly, that new studio, we will be broadcasting from there, and we're really, really excited about it. The studio is it's been constructed, and the finishing touches are happening on it, and then there's some technology that has to get installed, and then we got to work through the kinks of the new studio before we start broadcasting from there. So maybe within a month, we're going to be broadcasting from a new location and a new professional studio built just for this podcast.
It's going to be sweet.
Yeah, really, really excited about it. So without any further ado, next week we're going to be covering how to measure the difference between interest rate right now. It's growing so fast.
Yeah.
And we want to help you understand that as homes are going over list price, does that mean you're overpaying? And how you measure the interest rate difference, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned earlier in the show, in closing here, I'll go back and cover this point very quickly. Homes are being listed as a marketing tool.
Yep.
They're not being listed necessarily at their value. In fact, in this market, no realtor can tell you exactly what the value is in your house. They can only look at recent historical data. Yep. And that recent historical data is not going to speak to what your house is going to sell for. If it did only speak to historical data, a market would never go up or down.
Right.
It would always be tied to its historical data.
Yeah.
So it's not. And we're having hockey stick growth in our values in real estate all over the country.
Yep.
And so how do you navigate the price on the house? How do you break that down as it pertains to the marketing price on the house, the list price? So realtors that are good are pricing the houses in brackets where they're going to pick up the most searches.
Right.
Not necessarily what the home is valued at.
Absolutely.
So if a home is worth, let's say it's worth $272,000 all day long by historical data. Good agents are going to price that house at $249,900.
Yeah.
It's going to default to $250 in the system, and anybody searching from $200 to $250 is going to still pick it up.
They're going to find it. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then anybody searching from $200 to $300 is going to pick it up, and anybody searching from $250 to $300 is going to pick it up.
Yep.
So
Totally.
you have to be strategic about your list price for marketing purposes, not value prices, not value reasons.
Yeah. That's a little bit of a shift for a lot of people that,
Yeah.
you know, you really got to wrap your mind around it, that what it's listed for, it almost means nothing.
It almost means nothing.
And that's not how we work with consumerism here in America, but that's how the real estate market is.
That's right. Now, so if it's priced at $249,900, $250, okay, but the real value is $272, and the house sells for, let's say, $285, okay, how much did the house sell over list price? You know,
It's irrelevant.
$35,000 over list price.
Yeah.
But did it really sell over its current historical value by $35,000? No.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
Because $250 was a deal nobody was ever getting.
That's right. That's
So
exactly
you could have
right.
listed it for $100.
Yeah.
Who cares?
So if you're getting ready to navigate the market and you need to understand that as a buyer, then find, number one, the right agent. Number two, the right lender. And number three, find somebody who can help you decipher the difference between your needs and your wants so you can get strategic and win.
Yeah.
Okay. We are the Market Dominators here on the Market Dominators Real Estate Team podcast. You can find us at Market Dominators Team on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. And so we are absolutely thrilled to continue to bring you this show week in and week out. So until the next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.